That night, I reclined with my eyes shut, suspended in a delicate realm between dreams and consciousness. In the stillness, as a soft breeze caressed the curtains, I observed the door swing open silently. Without raising my eyes, I murmured, "Thomas." I found myself in a dream, but the voice that responded was not Thomas's. In a gentle, somewhat wavering tone, Elliot murmured, "I can't sleep." I blinked awake, taking in the silhouette of flesh pressed against the door. The moonlight tenderly brushed against his shoulder, illuminating his face with a delicate radiance. Words eluded me, leaving me in a state of silence. His unexpected arrival at my room during this hour caught me off guard. "Elliot, is all well with you?" I asked gently, my voice tinged with wonder. "I'm not sure," he murmured, stepping inside. "Sleep eludes me, no matter how hard I try." He drew near with a soft demeanor as I sat on the bed, carefully arranging the blanket around myself. "How may I be of service to you? Ought I to pursue the quest for water?" He softly inclined his head in a subtle gesture of disagreement. "I trust I'm not overstepping, but I would appreciate the opportunity to engage in a conversation. Should you be willing?" A subtle tension colored his voice, a heaviness that hung in the atmosphere. "I kindly request some space." My words tinged with a trace of hesitation. "Is there a thought occupying your mind at this hour?" He offered a subtle shrug of his shoulders. For a brief instant, his eyes met mine before they drifted away. Looking down, at times, it feels as if a multitude of expectations weigh heavily upon me. Imposed by others, the university, my father, and all those who play a role in my life. Yet, when you are near, I feel an undeniable tranquility. His words echoed in my mind, stirring a subtle change as I rested my hand on the edge of the bed. "Please, take a seat," I offered softly. "Are you ready, storyteller?" This tale carries an extraordinary essence. We set forth on a voyage where emotions blend and limits softly transform. If this is your inaugural encounter with such a confession, we warmly encourage you to join us. Subscribe, and activate notifications. This tale might present a charming turn that catches you off guard. He paused for a heartbeat before positioning himself next to me. He lingered in silence for a moment, his hands poised on his knees, a trace of youthful unease flickering in his expression. He initiated a dialogue with her. "My father loves me, I am certain of it," he expressed it, though his gaze wandered elsewhere. "There are moments when I feel a certain detachment, as if I am not entirely woven into the fabric of his world." Elliot's words caught me off guard. He had always exuded cheerfulness, with a hint of mischief. A young man who seemed untouched by the burdens of life. The subtle tension had escaped my awareness. "It is entirely natural," I remarked. "You are growing and transforming. These emotions shall fade away in time. You know your father and you know me well." Elliot paused for a fleeting instant before he spoke, his voice scarcely lifting above a whisper. "What if I appear strange to you at any point?" His words hung in the air, echoing gently in the stillness around them. An unusual heaviness took residence in my chest. Meeting his gaze proved challenging, my heart pounding with an intensity I couldn't quite understand. Yet I found myself lacking the courage to delve into the cause of such turmoil. "Elliot," I said softly, "perhaps a glass of warm milk or a short walk would help ease your thoughts. It may be wise to carve out some moments for your own well-being. What if solitude is not my preference?" Without a moment's pause, Junior replied. His voice held a challenge, but it also echoed with a trace of desperation. In that moment, I understood it was time to collect my reflections. "Listen," I spoke with a soft yet resolute tone. "In such moments, it is essential to remember what is genuinely just. As your stepmother, I believe it is essential to partake in this dialogue." As he turned to cast a glance my way, my words escaped me. The look in his eyes revealed a subtle mixture of vulnerability and caution. "Claire," he said, and the sound of my name on his lips sent a shiver racing down my spine. I never meant to perceive this as wrong. Yet when thoughts of you cross my mind, I struggle to grasp how it could possibly be so. At that moment, I ought to have stepped in. Perhaps I might have softly interposed, proposing that he take a brief respite outside. Yet, I held back, for that gaze urged me to confront my own feelings as well. In the soft glow of the room, Elliot's features stood out clearly. His expression hung in a fragile equilibrium, straddling the purity of childhood and the complexities of adulthood. "Could I accompany you for a moment of respite?" Virginia asked gently. In a fleeting instant, I found myself momentarily stunned. I chose to refrain from exploring the ramifications of his statements. I should have seen him merely as the hesitant young man seeking guidance. I inhaled deeply, centering myself and striving to maintain my composure. "Of course," I replied gently, "if that provides you solace. You may stay here." He settled into the far end of the couch. I softly adjusted the blanket enveloping me, yearning for a moment of tranquility. A subtle disquiet stirred within me, yet I held the role of his stepmother. He was just a young man of 19. I grasped my phone, seeking a distraction from the swirling thoughts in my mind. A missive came forth from Thomas. "This evening, I shall not be at home. I will remain at the office all through the night." The moment I read that message, my unease intensified. Were Thomas present, I would possess a more lucid understanding of how this situation could be perceived. At that moment, my focus shifted to understanding Elliot's sensitivity and responding in a fitting manner. "Are you doing well?" Miles asked, casting a sidelong glance in his direction. His voice was soft as he spoke. "Being here with you brings me a sense of comfort." His voice resonated with a richness I had not foreseen. Silence enveloped us for a brief moment. He persisted in conveying the same notion to me. "He is merely a boy." I wished to assist him in maneuvering through the circumstances. Yet, I felt a change in the air and instinctively responded. Elliot drew near with a soft touch. He softly laid his arm across my shoulders. He reached out, a gentle hand briefly resting on my shoulder. Seeking comfort, my heart began to quicken. Yet I held my composure. "Elliot, Miles," I whispered gently. "What are you currently engaged in?" "I'm feeling a bit chilly," he remarked softly, yet there was a subtlety in his tone that implied it transcended mere distance. I took a slow, deliberate breath. I had to navigate this situation with caution. He was still in his youth, perhaps grappling with a swirl of feelings and doubts. "This surely seems innocent, don't you think?" I endeavored to find solace in that thought as I reclined there. The closeness I encountered lingered, leaving me with a sense of unease deep inside. My heart pounded in my chest, and my thoughts swirled in a chaotic dance. Elusive and unfocused, I continually whispered to myself that the moment had come to release my grip. Yet I remained ensnared, unable to make that leap. "Marin, Miles," he murmured, his voice echoing through me like a soft wave. It proved difficult to ignore. Elliot placed his hand gently on my shoulder, searching for comfort. With a soft flutter, I shut my eyes, pondering my forthcoming decision. A subtle unrest brewed inside me. "This is just a straightforward connection. Wouldn't you agree, Miles?" I found myself in a constant struggle to sway my own thoughts. As his breaths became more rhythmic, I observed that he had succumbed to the embrace of slumber. Yet for me, repose appeared to be an elusive dream. My heart raced softly, a subtle cadence that appeared to envelop the world around me. A wave of disappointment washed over me, leaving me to grapple with my own shortcomings. What is it about this that resonates with me so profoundly? What is the source of my tension? Yet, his vibrant awareness and boundless energy stirred a feeling of discomfort within me. This closeness, it must be untainted. As I meandered through the labyrinth of my thoughts, a soothing fatigue wrapped around me like a soft blanket. In a soft twist of fate, I too began to succumb to the embrace of slumber. With the soft glow of sunlight streaming into the room, I slowly blinked awake. A soft weight settled upon my arm. Elliot lay in peaceful repose, his tranquil visage betraying an innocence that seemed almost untouched by the world. Yet, in that moment, I came to realize that my unease stemmed not solely from the innocence itself. Beneath the surface, there existed a tapestry of intricate layers. With a delicate motion, I adjusted my arm and lifted myself from the bed. As I stood up, I cast one last look in his direction. I was taken aback by how much he had matured. He seemed older, more composed, emphasizing the remarkable change he had experienced since our initial encounter. I found myself in quiet contemplation. He appeared remarkably mature, exceeding my expectations. A fleeting unease washed over me as I recognized the importance of articulating boundaries with clarity. I softly rattled it, donning a light jacket over my shirt before stealthily exiting the room. With each step down the staircase, I took a deep breath, savoring the moment. He acts as if it's merely another mundane morning, I reminded myself. In search of a soothing distraction, I wandered into the kitchen. Preparing breakfast seemed like a delightful means to engage both my hands and my mind. Still, my thoughts incessantly wandered to Elliot above. His calm demeanor and aura remained etched in my mind, stirring a feeling of discomfort. I discovered that I was restating my arguments on several occasions. It was simply a fleeting instant that had been misconstrued. All is well, entirely harmless, and I shall not raise any concerns about it. As I entered the kitchen, I began the morning ritual of preparing breakfast. The soft murmur of the coffee maker filled the air, drawing my thoughts to the figure of Elliot above me. I found it essential to gather my thoughts. All is well, just keep calm, I whispered. In that instant, Thomas's voice appeared to overshadow my own. Good morning, my dear, he said, lingering at the threshold with a tired look in his eyes. For a fleeting instant, I hesitated, grappling with the uncertainty of my forthcoming action. I softly coaxed a smile into existence. Good morning, I replied. Thomas approached with a tender grace, pressing a soft kiss to my cheek. His proximity only intensified my discomfort. The fragrance is enchanting. Is breakfast almost ready? Drenia asked with her characteristic brightness. Is it nearly complete? I spoke, my voice laced with an unforeseen sharpness. As Thomas stepped out of the kitchen, he murmured a soft call behind him. I believe I shall take a moment to repose in the living room, as I find myself rather fatigued. As he stepped into the living room, an unsettling wave surged through me. What if I ascend and discover Elliot within the confines of the room? In what manner can I convey my thoughts and feelings? How can I express this most effectively? As Thomas approached the living room, I let out a gentle sigh. For now, I chose not to ascend. With meticulous attention, I set the breakfast table. Though a subtle tremor coursed through my hands, I exercised meticulous caution to keep Thomas oblivious to any irregularities. As I peered into the living room, I observed him lounging on the sofa, surrendering to slumber almost instantaneously. His rhythmic inhalations provided a soothing aura of reassurance. In that fleeting instant, a wave of security enveloped me. Still, the discomfort within me persisted, refusing to find resolution. This circumstance cannot persist in its current state. There is an undeniable urge within me to initiate change. As I placed the cup of coffee on the table, my thoughts started to dance softly. Elliot lay wide awake, with Thomas by his side. I sensed the necessity to subtly guide the circumstances toward a more advantageous outcome. Yet, how can that be? As the morning unfolded, Thomas lingered in the embrace of sleep while Elliot ventured into the kitchen. As we sat at the breakfast table, the effortless smile on his face stirred a sense of unease within me. Cradling the cup of coffee in my hands, I sought to immerse myself in his conversation effortlessly. You look lovely today, Marin, he said softly. His assured tone appeared somewhat sophisticated for someone of his years. My eyes wandered to him, drawn in despite my intentions. It appeared he held deeper thoughts within, but he opted to remain silent. Thank you, Elliot, I replied, striving to keep my voice calm and measured. A fleeting moment of stillness lingered. He delicately prodded the eggs on his plate with the fork, then commented, I hope your day isn't too chaotic. If you need help with anything, don't hesitate to get in touch. His expression conveyed sincerity, but the timbre of his voice instilled a sense of discomfort within me. There are numerous other priorities for you to contemplate at school, I noted. Though his words were polite, they stirred a disquiet within me. A soothing wave of relief enveloped me as he gathered his bag and made his way to the door. Still, an unusual feeling remained nestled in my chest. This young lad appears to be undergoing a rather extraordinary experience. Wouldn't you agree? After Elliot's departure, Thomas roused from his sleep in the late hours of the day. He savored a tranquil breakfast, a moment of peace before the day's demands at work beckoned. Once he left, a profound calm enveloped the home. That evening, we convened at the dinner table, exchanging casual banter as if everything was perfectly fine. I played my part, feigning that it was just another mundane day. Yet, As darkness fell, that strange discomfort resurfaced. Thomas's phone rang, its tone softly shattering the stillness of the moment. His dear companion, Alan, has encountered an unfortunate accident and finds himself in the hospital at present. Thomas made the decision to leave immediately. As he readied himself, he leaned closer and pressed his lips to mine, offering a comforting whisper. "Don't worry, honey, I shall return with all due haste." I accompanied him to the threshold, observed his departure, and softly closed the door behind him. The feeling of solitude I encountered was surprisingly heavy, though I sensed the presence of others nearby. An overwhelming solitude wrapped around me like a heavy cloak. Upon crossing the threshold, I found myself momentarily halted, taking in the scene before me. I cast a fleeting look at the lock. Should it be closed? What if Elliot navigated the situation with a soft hand? What if he comes back to this place? I softly shook my head, hoping to alleviate the tension in the air. "That will do, Marin. He is simply a youthful boy. What leads you to embrace that viewpoint?" Even as I tried to cast it aside, the thought stubbornly remained in my mind. I nestled into bed, caressing the soft sheet as it enveloped me, yearning for a feeling of solace. I closed my eyes, but the discomfort remained palpable. The night wrapped the world in a soft embrace of silence. Yet, in moments, that very stillness can stir a feeling of discomfort. Elliot appeared in my thoughts, drawing near with an intent look on his face. As I recognized how close I was, a shiver ran through me. The fog of uncertainty enveloped my thoughts, thickening to a point where I briefly lost clarity on the path ahead. What is unfolding? At that instant, Elliot inclined his body ever so slightly. His eyes locked onto mine. I felt the discomfort and doubt reflected in my own heart. I hesitated, my voice trembling as I began to speak. "Elliot, could you take a moment to pause?" My voice trembled slightly, yet the unease was unmistakable. "I am your stepmother. What prompts you to contemplate such a notion?" Elliot halted for a moment, his eyes growing wide with disbelief. His progress came to an abrupt stop, yet the silence and tranquility that enveloped us deepened significantly. "This appears improbable, as it simply cannot be accomplished." My thoughts were spiraling into chaos. I cast a fleeting look in his direction and recognized that my face, a mixture of doubt and unease, was probably betraying my inner turmoil. What might have prompted me to entertain this thought? A sense of drifting washed over me. Elliot released a gentle breath, a subtle quiver lacing the air around him. His eyes held a firm focus on mine. He stepped back, crafting a soft distance between us. Yet, the ambiance was so dense that it appeared to reverberate gently throughout the space. "I have something to convey, Elliot," I uttered, my voice trembling and filled with doubt. "As I watched you peacefully asleep that morning, a realization struck me. It appears you have transcended the bounds of childhood. Your demeanor reflects a remarkable level of maturity." My words hung in the air, but my feelings were too tightly bound to stay silent for much longer. Emotions surged within me, yet I found it difficult to express my thoughts clearly. As I looked at him, his gaze lingered on me too, but I felt a wave of uncertainty wash over me regarding my next move. It transcends mere numbers of years. Your very being, your corporeal presence, you're growing into a thoughtful young man. I see a quiet strength emerging in you. I forged ahead, striving to express my tangled thoughts. In a moment of innocence, I saw you as a young child, and without hesitation, I welcomed you to rest in my bed. In hindsight, I recognize the shortcomings of that decision. In contemplating the matter, I acknowledge the possible dangers that lie ahead for us both. Your secret remains secure in my hands, I conveyed with a calm and deliberate voice. Your presence is truly captivating, and I can envision you drawing considerable attention at the university. In exchange for my silence, you shall reside with your aunt for a while. It appears you may be exploring alternative possibilities. Do you find yourself trailing in my wake? Elliot paused momentarily, letting the atmosphere envelop him before he gracefully lowered his head. His eyes mirrored a profound sense of regret. "Please, don't tell Dad," he said, his voice trembling just a bit. "I offer my heartfelt apologies. I shall be residing with my aunt. Rest assured." His expression revealed a complex tapestry of emotions. A sense of discomfort, introspection, and maybe a whisper of emptiness. Still, there lingered a silent quality, an essence he struggled to put into words. Claire pondered in silence. What if she had felt a bond with Elliot? What if she had made a mistake? She drew in a deep breath. Her thoughts drifted softly in the stillness. Truly, her vivacity and zeal rendered me somewhat bewildered, even with her unwavering determination to stay composed. The chance of a brief lapse into vulnerability or emotional upheaval lingered just beneath the surface. Having transformed everything, I am confident that I executed it with effectiveness. The actions I took hold little significance. I chose wisely. For a fleeting instant, she turned her thoughts inward, as if softly retracing the moments that had unfolded in her memory. Everything is in order. Certainly, it was a remarkable experience, fraught with its own set of challenges. And so, it has reached its conclusion. Elliot took up residence with his aunt, and everything is going smoothly. She was enveloped in a haze of doubt. In this very moment, I find solace in the belief that all things are within reach of resolution. Claire paused for a fleeting instant, releasing a gentle breath. Everything is perfectly fine, she said, her voice steady and soothing. Unbeknownst to her, the future held mysteries yet to unfold. Slowly, the ambiance began to calm. At first, Elliot would make infrequent visits to the house. Yet over time, his demeanor evolved into something more at ease and genuine. A serene stillness enveloped the scene, untouched by the disquieting words or deeds that had transpired before. Everything seemed to be returning to its proper place. As the school holidays commenced, Elliot's return brought a wave of tranquility. During that time, he had genuinely undergone a transformation. He exhibited a remarkable tranquility and wisdom in his demeanor. It appeared we had separated ourselves from those electrifying instances. Elliot's return appeared to offer a subtle test for Claire. Throughout those 5 months, she had convinced herself that all must seem unremarkable. With Elliot's return, a palpable change was unmistakable. He demonstrated a heightened sense of maturity and composure. The unusual approaches and awkward behaviors had vanished completely. Claire felt a soft wave of relief wash over her as she observed Elliot slipping back into his familiar self. Claire contemplated that everything had returned to its rightful state once again. Elliot has attained a newfound clarity, acknowledges the limits set before him, and has reconciled with the situation at hand. The earlier discomfort has completely vanished. Claire took a brief pause, drawing in a deep breath. She pondered whether this was indeed the most fitting resolution. Time navigated it with elegance. The moment encapsulated the quintessential interplay between a stepmother and her stepson. For a while, I held the conviction that everything was as it should be. With Thomas away on a business trip for the week, I discovered a surprising sense of ease enveloping me. Finally, a precious moment of solitude. A tranquil setting to unwind and let go of the weight of accumulated stress. Elliot's conduct has exhibited a remarkable growth in maturity in recent months. It genuinely calmed my thoughts. Despite the challenges in accepting it, our experiences ultimately guided us toward a more favorable conclusion. I thought we were safe, but that night took me by surprise. As Thomas left, the tranquility of the house wrapped around me, bringing an unforeseen wave of calm. As I settled into the embrace of sleep, an odd feeling lingered in the air around me. Uncertainty clouded my understanding of what it truly was. One night, as I lay in the depths of slumber, a soft sound roused me from my dreams. The door swung open with a delicate creak, ushering in the sound of footsteps drawing near. A silhouette drew near to my chamber. As I blinked awake, a silhouette stirred softly within the confines of the room. For a fleeting moment, I felt a stillness in my heartbeat. Elliot stood there, in my room. With a soft click, I closed the door behind him as he departed. An unsettling wave of discomfort enveloped me. What has led us to this very moment? What is the cause of this? A feeling of unease washed over me, though I couldn't fully articulate why. A feeling of helplessness washed over me, yet I opted for silence. I had to navigate this situation with caution. Elliot, I uttered, my voice quivering just a touch. Despite my efforts to maintain an air of composure. What has drawn you to this place? His eyes locked onto mine, and the calmness in his voice only intensified my discomfort. Indeed, Marin, he commented, as if this were perfectly commonplace. I merely desire to engage in a dialogue and relish your presence." A wave of discomfort washed over me. What did he hope to achieve? What inspired him to seek such a sudden transformation in everything? His gaze held a depth that left me feeling unsettled. He radiated an air of assurance and resolve, seemingly ready to surpass any limits. He edged closer, his gaze softly connecting with mine. In that instant, every fiber of my being, my heart, resisted him, yet a deep sense of emotional tension settled in, and I knew it was time to redirect the moment. I felt the pull to withdraw, yet my feet moved of their own accord, guiding me to step back. "Elliot, please stop," I implored, my voice revealing a trace of discomfort. "I would be grateful for a bit more time. Thank you." Within the depths of my thoughts, chaos reigned, yet my voice rose with unwavering steadiness and poise. "As the sun sets, Eleonoro, a fresh viewpoint will emerge. I shall accompany you, though not at this very moment." As I endeavored to exit the room, I found it difficult to keep my composure, my eyes drawn to him for just a moment longer. My emotions swirled with doubt and reluctance, even as I found myself retreating when an element of the scenario beckoned me closer. Dear listener, should your curiosity be piqued by the unfolding tale and you wish to immerse yourself in more narratives of this kind, contemplate subscribing and activating notifications to remain informed about forthcoming episodes. Your comments and likes are genuinely appreciated. They motivate me to persist in my literary endeavors. Kindly provide the name of the country from which you are reaching out. I am eager to discover more. Stay tuned for the next episode on the horizon. It shall arrive momentarily.